Let's take a look at customizing your Photoshop workspace. Firstly, Photoshop has a menu that's called the Workspace Switcher, and one of the early things I do when I get a new piece of software is see what features were added in the latest version. They have a new in CS6 Workspace, so you could see Mini Bridge has been rearranged. They have made changes to layers and adjustments. They added an all-new Properties panel, and we now have paragraph and character styles. There is more, but let's take a look at a few of the other options for workspaces. Workspaces, in essence, are saved panel positions, or a way that you like to work, or where you like your panels arranged for the task at hand. You could choose 3D, and it gives you a 3D workspace. Painting. If you do a lot of artwork creation from scratch, photography, things focused on image correction, and finally, typography, if you are doing a lot of mock-ups, whether it be mock-ups for web pages, mock-ups for mobile devices, or even banner advertising in Photoshop. I am going to start with the Essentials workspace and configure it so it has a few more panels that I use daily. Firstly, on the right side of your screen, the technical term for those floating windows is panel. Years ago, they were called palettes, but in CS4 the term actually changed, so today they are technically called panels. We have a color panel showing the adjustments panel, the layers panel, but there are more that you may use frequently, like character, or the all-new character styles and paragraph styles. When I chose either one of those, both character and paragraph were added, and paragraph styles and character styles all new to CS6. I use history very frequently, so I like to hit the history panel and drag and drop it directly in with layers, channels, and paths. I also don't use color all that often, but I do like to have it here, so I will double-click on the word color to adjustment. The same with the adjustments panel. Double-click on adjustments, and it collapses the panel. So I said double-click to adjust it in color. I actually mean double-click will collapse. Double-click will expand. All your panels have two different viewing modes. If I hit these double white arrows, I get icon-only view, and then can click the word color so it expands. Click adjustments to expand or collapse it, or click layers and history. However, I like to see my history layers all the time, so I am going to click the double white arrows again to expand my panels, and I will double-click to collapse color. Double-click to a collapsed adjustments, and these panels can be dragged in any order that makes sense to you. History first, then layers, or drag it over, layers first, and then history. Photoshop CS6, along with all of the CS6 applications, have a redesigned interface to make all the panels logical and usable. The second thing I will do with the panel is on my Tools panel, I will switch to a double column view. Because of the resolution of my screen when I go to single column, I am losing some icons down here. So double column will show me my full quick mask and my fold change screen mode. And changing screen mode is very important. Often, if you want the ability to move your image around, you could switch to the hand tool and click and drag, but in standard screen mode, if you aren't zoomed down, that clicking and dragging will do nothing. If I click and hold on standard screen mode, I can go to full screen mode with menu bar, which maximizes your screen territory. And now on the hand tool, I can move this image anywhere I'd like on the screen to get to is very tiny corner. I could zoom in with Command plus or the control plots and use my wheel to move around. If I was on standard screen mode, the spacebar would get me to an edge, but I may not be able to very easily get to a corner if I had done View Fit on screen. Here, unlocked, underneath the tools and panels on the right. So my favorite mode to work in is full screen mode with menu bar. The one thing it does do, which can scare people, is it hides your close box. I tend to use File Close, or, quite honestly, I use Command W or Control W to close a window. That keyboard shortcut works in every Mac and PC program, so if I close with Command of your Control W, I can go back to Mini Bridge, go to an individual folder, and double-click to open back this image. I can double-click again on Mini Bridge to collapse it, and finally, I am going to save the workspace that I have arranged here as my own custom workspace. That way, when I quit Photoshop, it's always available. Window Workspace. New Workspace is how you save them. When I choose Window Workspace, New Workspace, I can type Kelly, and if I customize keyboard shortcuts or menus, I could save those. But at this point, I started with Factory Settings, All New Essentials Workspace, and I added Character Paragraph, Character Styles, and Paragraph Styles over here. So that's all I am saving, my new positions, and I will hit Save. Finally, we have been doing standard screen mode and full screen mode with menu bar, and you may have noticed the letter F over there on the right. When I open an image, the first thing I do is hit the letter F on my keyboard. The letter F by itself jumped to the second mode, full screen mode with menu bar. Hitting F again will go to full screen mode with black background and no menus. I have gotten those terrified calls from people who accidentally hit the letter F too many times and lost all their menus and panels. If you are in full screen mode, you can mouse over to the left or to the right, and in many cases that will expand your panels, but you have to be exactly at the right spots. You will notice I have to wiggle my mouse a bit just to the very right edge of my screen in order to get the panels to show up, and then move over to the very opposite side, and now I could click Screen Mode to go back to standard screen mode. In fact, another way to use this is just click. Each click changes screen mode, and it will even warn you that it's going to hide the panels, and you can get to them by going to the side of the screen or by pressing Tab. I am going to go and say it's okay to go to full screen, and let's try that Tab key trick. Tab will reveal your options bar across the top, your toolbar, and your panels. Tab again will hide them. F by itself on the keyboard, we will go back to standard screen mode. If you ever lose your panels, just hit Tab, it to toggle, to hide, and show them. If you lose a panel, all the panels are under the window menu, and they are alphabetized, starting at 3D, down the tool presets. Hopefully, you see this video some additional panels and workspace options that will make your time in Photoshop more efficient.